Hello Libra, welcome to your March 2018 reading, which for you guys seemed to be pretty good. To be honest, I think that was the best reading I did, if I remember correctly. You guys have so much going on. You know, last month I remember we had all the aces come out, every single one. It's just like the universe is just trying to throw stuff at you, you know, and it's trying to get you in the right path, in the right direction. And I think your heart is really kicking in and being like, whoa, what do I really want? This is so great. I get to choose so many things. Even though you may be feeling quite discombobulated and like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. This confusion is really coming from all this Piscean energy that we have. We've got the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Neptune, and Chiron all in Pisces. We've got this Jupiter retrograde happening in the beginning of March, starting March 8th, which is aspecting Neptune. So there is this element of confusion, but that confusion is what I'm calling, the confusion is an illusion. It's not real. You're not really confused, right? We have this aspect, Jupiter aspect with Pluto as well during this retrograde season, which happens in Pluto's in your 4th house, right? And I feel like I've been calling it the retrograde that's for detox and reformation. And you guys are still detoxing from a lot of stuff from the past couple of years. So allow your body to be cleansed and allow things to just like be easy. Because I think this reading was easy. You still have turbulence. I do clarify in the comprehensive reading the Temperance card that comes out reversed to kind of figure out what that is. And I think we have an Ace of Cups that comes out. We clarify it with an Emperor card, I believe. And so is it someone new, or is it a version of yourself being reflected in the eyes of another person? Is it, you know, we'll go all into that in the comprehensive. But I think ultimately just let it be. Let the flow just happen, because you guys deserve it. You know, you really, really do deserve it. And yeah, so good. I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you want to check out the comprehensive reading, I've been saying in all the videos, you know, it's like if you don't want to spend $100 on a private reading, you can spend $5.99 and have a lot more detail. So last month with the free comprehensives that I did, everyone kept saying it gave them so much clarity. That was the word that everyone kept using. So it confirms, I think, a lot of what your intuition is saying. It confirms a lot of what you're probably going to be doing anyway, and just helps you to feel more sure. So when the rocky stuff comes, it's like, okay, well, I was expecting this, so no need to get really so caught up in it, and I can just kind of make the decisions that I need to make and move on, you know? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and leave you there. Thank you so much, Libra. I'll see you next month. All right, Libra, so we had the first card pop out while I was shuffling to get your reading started. We had the Ace of Cups, okay? I remember last month, you know, I don't know what's going on with you, but I remember last month there was just all this stuff just barreling towards you. We had all 4 aces come out. And I feel like you might be kind of all over the place. A little bit up, a little bit down, a little bit left, a little bit right, you know, just kind of like not really knowing and feeling very discombobulated. And maybe you have a whole bunch of projects that are kind of started but not finished, and it's maybe driving you a little bit crazy, and maybe there's just like a lot going on. There does seem to be a focus around love this month for you, love or romance, or you know, I don't know why, but I'm also seeing this in the realm of children. I'm also seeing this in the realm of like creative, artistic projects for you, okay? Whatever it is that you do to create and to find that beauty in life, right? Libra, you're so prone to the aesthetics of life. Life itself is an art form. Romance is an art form. And, you know, I feel like you are fine-tuning your artistic skills. And again, whichever area this really speaks to you. But you are fine-tuning your skills. Let's see what else comes out. I was kind of had something on the tip of my tongue, but let's go ahead and pull out some more cards. Okay. The Chariot. I'm going to pull these out one at a time, the other ones that fell out. Chariot, power. It's a card signifying direction. It's a card that signifies unity within yourself, right? We have the two Sphinx pulling the Chariot. Now, the Sphinx represent duality in general, duality within ourselves, duality within our life. And when our two poles come together, we become this unstoppable force. The Chariot is one of divine connection, of divine purpose, where I feel as though you are very channeled right now. And especially, I'm doing this reading today, the 15th, which is the day of the solar eclipse. This is happening in your 5th house, especially Libra ascendants happening in your 5th house. That does have to do with that artistic stuff that I'm talking about. It also has a lot to do with your identity and your sense of self. And I know that you are kind of being pulled in different directions by different people. And yet somehow you do remain this very Libra-esque composure that is very detached in terms of not getting married to one side or the other without having all the information. And I think you might even be in, I don't know if I want to call it like information collection right now, but rather just like waiting to see kind of what comes out, right? Oh, well, here we go. The Ace of Swords coming out. Again, 2 more aces. I feel like you're kind of in this setting back type of mode in your life. Not necessarily like putting anything on the back burner or being lazy, but rather like doing a little bit and then seeing how it pans out. Doing a little bit and then seeing how it pans out. This is a very beautiful card for Libra too, because it does speak to truth, right? And even here we have the laurel branch and the palm branch, both signifying war and peace, and yet somehow finding the medium between the two. And then we even have the duality here and the control over those dualities. And duality was a concept that I had a really hard time kind of visualizing, and kind of having a hard time. I mean, I understand the concept, I understand the words that people use to describe it, but to understand the duality within us, and how we can become powerful from that. Like, what? Okay, it's great. We have ups and downs. That's great. Okay, so then what? Kind of thing. And Libra, because you do represent the scales, you are duality defined. Constantly in a battle between this way and that way, this person and yourself, good versus bad, attachment versus unconditional love, right? You're constantly kind of in this balancing act. And it's interesting here that we even have the blade and the chalice, sword and cups, representing the left brain and the right brain, which is here the 2 sphinxes, the masculine and the feminine, both defined here, okay? So you may find yourself in that kind of a situation right now, where you may feel like you need to choose, or you feel like you need to, it's like you feel like you need to do something, but you're still in that process of really figuring out how can these both coexist? How can the cold, harsh reality exist? How can my passionate desires exist together? How can it blend? How can we consolidate all of these things so that life becomes easier, so that our relationships become easier, so work becomes easier? Because when one of these is overweighted, right, when one of these sphinx is stronger, the Chariot gets torn apart. They need to work in tandem. And right now, I think that you are in that very delicate process of finding that balance. And this doesn't have to be romantic. It can be in any area of your life. But because of the Ace of Cups, I do feel like romance is more likely. And it is tarot, and more people come here for romance than anything else. But, you know, the me versus you, consolidating and becoming a unit. How do we become us? How do we operate in tandem? Okay, what else came out here? 8 of Wands, coming out in terms of transition, in terms of where you're going and where you're headed. I think you do have a goal in mind, Libra. I do. I think you know where you want to go. I think you have a dream. I think you have an ambition, something that you've kind of sunk your teeth into, and for some reason you just can't seem to tear yourself apart or away from that. And I think quickly, more quickly than slowly, things are going to start materializing. There's this sense of knowing about this. There's a sense of knowing about where you're headed and where something is going to end up. Some of you, this is going to speak to, there's this sense of knowing that this relationship isn't going to work. And for some of you, it's the opposite. There's this sense of knowing that it is going to work. And whichever way that leans, there is that unity between your intuition and your mind. There is no contrast and there is no battle. It's like you just know. And when you have that faith, and when you have that sense of knowing, there are no obstacles in your way. Okay? And I don't see that there are. And I think the opportunities, you know, the step-by-step opportunities, the more micro opportunities, are going to become more apparent. You are in charge here. Right? And this can kind of go however you want to go. Not in terms of manipulation and not in terms of getting someone to do what you want, right? But in terms of how you handle this knowing. Knowing if it's not going to work out, okay, well then you leave. Knowing that it is going to work out, okay, well then you don't protect yourself that much. You allow things to just unfold naturally. You don't fight the process. I'm sensing ease here. And because last month with all the aces, and we're getting the aces here again, because there are all these things being kind of thrown at you, you're having to kind of sift through the noise. Sift through the noise of the petty relationships. Sift through the noise of people's opinions and ideas and what they think you should do, right? People with opinions have incredibly strong egos. And I was listening to, I think it was a Simon Sinek speech. I can't say for certain if that's what it was. He was interviewing someone very, very successful. And one of the keys to success that he was talking about was to always be the last to speak. To come into a conference room, to sit down and let every single person say what they have to say and express their ideas and their opinions before you project your opinion onto other people. And the reason for that is, one, because you may change your perspective. Someone may see it a different way, a way that you didn't think, right? And two, it allows people's egos to be heard. And I feel like there is that sense of appeasement with this 8 of Wands, like letting people express their opinions, but yet remaining very much in control of what you already know to be true. And it is through the appeasing of people and being nice and kind of playing that like, okay, smile and nod type of game, you are allowing for them to remain, to be special in your life, right? But also you're not really letting go of who you are. Like you really truly are in power here, okay? And I do think people do have opinions to give you. People do have ideas, and they do want to project their own stuff on you. But right now, you're not very projectable. I don't sense vulnerability coming here with this Chariot, right? Because this is the card of Cancer. And what is Cancer? A crab. It has this tough, really difficult to penetrate exoskeleton, right? And so these like little darts are just going to kind of like ping, like just ping off of you. And they're not going to really hurt you in any way. And you do have a sense of pride, Libra. You do have pride in a good way. A lot of people see this as being like a negative card. I don't think I ever do. I always see this as being doing what you know to be best because you know it's best. You've had the experience. You've gone through the process of learning. You've had your heart broken. You've failed at that job. You failed at writing that book. You did a bad job decorating that person's house. Like whatever it was, you've already gone through all the mistakes. And right now you are having this kind of, I want to say it's like an illumination. Like something is becoming illuminated here. The Ace of Swords, to me, you know how when there's clouds, like a cloudy day, and the sun is kind of behind them, and then when the clouds break a little bit, you can't see the sun, but you can see the sun rays coming through the clouds, and because there's like haze in the air, you can see the beams. It's kind of how I feel like this card is. Like, you know where that truth is. You know where the sun is because those rays are kind of guiding you there. And you don't need anyone else to tell you, like, because everyone else is going to be like, no, the sun's not there. It's over here. No, it's not. You're like, no, I know where it is. I'm not dumb. I've been through it. I've gone through that whole thing before, and I'm not going to fall for it again. You're not in a very gullible place right now. You're not in a very projectable or manipulative place, meaning other people cannot manipulate you, which is great. Eight of Cups. See, I do feel like there is this sense of moving away. Yes, the solar eclipse. Yes, we're opening this new portal. Yes, 2017 is behind us. Okay, fine. I'm getting tired of talking about 2017. I felt like I had to for the first couple months because it was so fresh and so raw. But with this eclipse season, we are officially at the point where looking back does not make sense anymore. Looking back and identifying with that stuff and, like you've had that 6-month grace period since last August. You've had the grace period, and now the universe is like, okay, you really got to focus on what comes next. Because the longer and longer you stay where you are, it's just gonna put you and propel you right back in that same exact cycle. Because you've gone through the period that it takes to attain understanding and also gratitude for what you went through. So now you have that, and now you get to use it as a tool, the gratitude and experience as a tool for you. And I think a lot of you have a lot of like really ambitious goals, really ambitious dreams. Like some of you, yes, like you want to get married this year, right? You want to have children this year. You want to have that career boost. You want to start that business this year. And with the Saturn in the cardinal sign, with all the cardinal energy going on, there's a deepened concentration in that Capricorn-esque area, getting our life in order. I think Saturn is well adjusted now. I think there was an adjustment period where the movement from Sagittarius to Capricorn, again, guys, according to Western astrology, Sagittarius to Capricorn, there was that like, even though Saturn was coming back home, it does get comfy in a sign, right? After 2 to 3 years of being there, that transition can be tough. And it's almost as though the first few months it kind of went through reverse culture shock. Like, yes, it's coming back home, but it's also kind of like a soldier coming back from war. Like, it takes a long time for it to assimilate. right? And to get adjusted. But now I think that it is adjusted. And you're starting to tap into the true power of that. And you're having the courage to really do what it takes without even thinking twice. 8, the number 8 is associated with strength in the major arcana. And it does require strength to push forward, and it does require strength to leave this stuff behind. You can own this stuff, right? You can totally own it and claim it as yourself, but I also know that you're very careful about not identifying or creating an identity around the stuff you went through. You're not sitting there saying, I'm a survivor of an emotionally abusive relationship. I'm a, because that kind of puts you in a corner and it puts labels on you. And I think what's happening is you're breaking free from any labels that you've kind of associated yourself with. You're redefining who you are. And you're learning how to re-script. Okay, Temperance Reverse, first reversal we get. Let's see what else comes out here. Let me pull the last two. The last two for the square. I'm going to be clarifying this and this and this and this. Also Ace of Cups in the comprehensive reading. I really do hope you guys join me there. I got such awesome feedback from it last month. Okay, what else? 4 of Wands. Another 8 of coins. Okay, let's talk about these first. So the other 8. There is a lot of work for you to do, guys. It's not just about the transition. It's about the end game. And you know what it's going to take to get to the end game. And one thing I really do like about Libra, and I do know a lot of Libran people, and because they have the mind of Virgo 12th house, there is and can be this deep, this meticulous nature about Libra. Very meticulous, very careful. You guys can really hone in on things that, like for me, like I might be a Virgo, I'm a 12th house Virgo, I'm Libra ascending, but Mercury in the 12th house, it's not the most detail friendly. This is an attribute that I really respect about my Libran people, is that they, or just any people, Libra or not, it doesn't really matter. The reason why I'm talking about Virgo is because this is a card that's ruled by Virgo, right? So there is that kind of subconscious drive happening. And because this is a project or this is a goal that you really care about and that you are determined to have, you're determined to achieve this, there's an element of perfection here, perfect work. And you are very emotionally connected to this goal. Wherever it is you're going and you're kind of set out to go, there is passion. You might not even really know or understand the source of that passion. Some of you might, but some of you might not. It's like you get that light bulb over your head, this idea, which you don't know where it came from, and all of a sudden it gets put from not even existing to being on the front burner. And I think that's why last month you had all the aces come out, all the opportunities, right? Because it was all these doors opening, and you had to have options. Well, this is the month where it all gets narrowed down into 1 or 2 main goals that you are able to delve in very, very deep and wholeheartedly commit yourself to that. And there is cause for celebration. There is cause for happiness. There is cause for success here. Your world may have gotten turned upside down a little bit, right? This is counteractive to all these 3 cards here. This is contradictory. This, I think, is rooted in doubt. Libra, you have no reason to doubt yourself. I need you to think about what's possible in the most magical way. You know, we hear these stories of people who grew up in poverty, in farms, you know, and then all of a sudden they have this passion within, and we don't know where it comes from, and they end up changing the world. They have such humble beginnings, or they had success and then they failed really hard and lost everything, and yet they rise again. You know, so whatever turbulence you are perceiving right now, it's not necessarily really there. Like, that turbulence is being caused by self-doubt. But from what I can see, there is a very stable outcome in this transition for you. There's stability, and there's an ability for you to find peace in this new direction. Okay? This may have been the catalyst, maybe, right? The catalyst for you to say, like, okay, universe, I'll go with the flow. All right, I gotcha. I'll go with it. If that's what you want, I'll go with it. Hierophant, man, he has been popping out like crazy. And it's the same, you know, it's the same. We have the two down here, and we have the main celestial entity up there. This is speaking to, I believe, your awakened self. The self that transcends the worldly and the materialistic and the emotional attachments, and discovers their place in the world. And I've been talking about this a lot in the weeklies, so it's not a far deviation from that. You guys have been watching those. And I think you can physically feel that. That's a physical feeling that you can perceive, this, like, oh wow, I'm a better person now. Like, I'm more aware now. And the Hermit. And you guys have been doing this weird Hermit thing because you have been healing so much, and it's been like a hard healing process. And while the healing will continue, it is no longer allowed, quote unquote allowed, for you to use it as an excuse for stagnation, because there are so many cards here that indicate movement. Okay, Two of Pentacles. See, and there does seem to be this element of authenticity. I always see the Two of Coins as being a need for authenticity, where you really stop doing everything for everyone and you just say, well, what do I want? And doing that, right? And becoming very, very true to yourself. You don't really have a choice in the matter, to be honest, you guys. These cards here are telling me that anything other than your core authentic self, your vulnerable self, anything other than that, and this isn't going to work. Okay? You reached a level of yourself you didn't know existed last year. So now you can go back the other way, right? You can find the light in the darkness, all right, so to speak. And you're heading toward that light. Like, you know where the sun is shining behind those clouds because you know the path to take. It's definitely illuminated. And so there's really no question here that you're on the right track, okay? So in the comprehensive, clarifying these two, kind of where you're going here, what's involved with this Four of Wands, what happened with the Temperance Reverse, and also clarifying the Chariot as well. I really do hope you join me there. I had amazing feedback last month that really made me feel ecstatic to do it again this month for you. I feel that people were really finding more clarity with the readings. There was a lot more detail that came out because right now I'm not even getting any people. It's just you know, so feel free to check it out. The link will be down below in the description box. All right, thank you guys so much, and I will see you next month. Bye-bye.